Bump maps are an excellent way to create the illusion of height changes along a surface. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to create bump maps and how we can change their properties and influence the amount of relief on our object. Very simple scene here, just a very simple blue sphere. I want to add a procedural texture to my sphere so we can create a simple bump map. So I have my material group sphere selected in my shader tree, and then I'm going to go to the top of the shader tree and choose Add Layer, Enhance Modo Textures, and then from that list, we're going to choose in the noise category, all the way down here at the bottom, we're going to do, we're going to do stucco. Now, this is called a procedural texture. This is the texture image that's been created by the computer using a number of algorithms. And as you can see, it's just a very simple black and white procedural image of some really great noisy kind of organic pattern that's being spherically wrapped around our sphere. At the moment, this procedural texture is influencing the diffuse color channel of our material group. Well, I'm going to right-click on the word diffuse color. And from this list, we're going to go down to surface shading and choose bump. Now, when I click on the word bump, watch what happens. That black and white image is replaced and is now affecting the bump channel. And the bump channel is a camera trick. It's a camera trick that that fools the rendering engine to believe that there's different variations of height or relief along the surface of our object. I want you to pay attention very closely to the edges of our sphere. It's still perfectly circular. As I mentioned, this is just a camera trick. The camera is looking at that grayscale value, and I'm going to do a little trick here. In my preview render, I'm going to go over here where it says Effect and choose Bump from the list. This is going to allow me to view the current bump channels that are being applied to my scene. Now, we can see here that we have a number of white and gray and black values. These varying shades of gray are going to create different heights. Basically, the black pixels in our bump map are not going to get affected, or they're not going to give the illusion of our mesh being pushed out. But the pixels that are lighter in value, that head towards pure white, are going to get influenced based off of their percentage of gray. So white pixels that are perfectly 100% white are going to get influenced 100%. Black pixels that are 0% white or 0% gray are not going to get influenced, and all the other shades of gray in between are going to get influenced based off of their percentage of gray. Let's change this effect back to final color so you can see what's going on. And here is what it looks like. The pixels that were white in our bump map were getting pushed out 100%. The pixels, for example, in the pits and valleys of our bump map, the pixels that were black or very, very dark gray are not influencing the perceived height of our bump map. Now, if you don't like the intensity of your bump map, you can go in and change how its influence on the scene and how far it's getting pushed out. To do that, you have to go into the material. So here it is. Here's the sphere material group. This layer here is influencing the bump, and here's the material. If I click on the material, and I apologize for it getting cut off, let me move this around here. We have a section down at the bottom called Surface Normal, and inside that Surface Normal category is the bump amplitude. If we were to increase or decrease this value, you're going to see a change happen along our bump map. Let's decrease this some. Let's go to 500 millimeters or so, and now our bump map is not as intense. Let's really crank this down. Let's go down to, now we're down to 90 millimeters, and we're having a very little effect on the entire perceived relief of our surface. So let's pump this back up to 1 meter again. There we go. And when it updates, you can see the difference in the two. As I mentioned before, this is purely a camera trick. We're not actually changing the surface geometry. If I was to rotate around my sphere, you're going to see here that it's always going to be spherical. It's just a trick. It's the perceived illusion of changing values of relief along the surface. But no, the geometry is not actually changed at all. So the bump map is going to look at the light and dark values in a grayscale image and push or give the illusion that our object is being pushed and pulled based off of those black values. Again, if we look at our bump channel here, the areas that are lighter are going to get pushed out, and the areas that are darker are not going to get influenced or are going to be pushed in. So the lighter values out, darker values in. That's how a bump map works here in Modo.